Okay, Tom, Justin, thanks so much for joining me today, and congratulations on being awarded for the 2023 Hero Awards.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations, Tom.
Dozens of applications came in from a variety of different aspects of education. Everything, say, kindergarten curriculum up to hardware in classrooms, all sorts of stuff. But your program, I think, really stuck out to the judges. It was something that was distinct, something that we don't usually see a lot of. But I think it's important for us, especially post-pandemic, and as we continue to talk about reinventing education and various programs, maybe we can get started by, Tom, you talking a little bit about your program and the origin of where it came from and what the particulars are.
So my school, Blackstone Valley Tech, we are a vocational school. We serve a whole bunch of towns around this district in the Blackstone Valley. And I would say we're kind of like a working area. There's a lot of plumbers, electricians, painters, that type of people in this area. So the kids are looking for jobs, and we're trying to get them hired. When I first came here, this is my 9th year at the school. It's funny, I came here because my son applied to come to BVT and he was accepted. And I happened to be walking through the shop, and I talked to the P&D teacher at the time, and I said, "Hey, look at that, a vinyl cutter." And I was kind of like seeing things that I know from my industry. And he's like, "Oh, you know what that is?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, it's funny, we're looking for a teacher." And I was like, I'm not looking to be a teacher. I'm in the sign industry. I'm a sign guy, But I said, "Hey, I'll come in one day and do a little demo for you." A long time ago, I used to own my own sign company, and I am also a former vocational school graduate. And when I owned my sign company years and years ago, I used to go back to my old school with my old teacher and teach kids how to do airbrushing at Christmas time, and just would dedicate my time. So when this teacher said that, I offered the same thing, and I came in, and it was wonderful. It's really kind of fun, And again, he said, "Oh, that's too bad. We're looking for a teacher." And I said, "Well, again, I'm not a teacher." So they ended up hiring somebody, and it was fine. And then I came into another open house when my son was here, and he said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that teacher didn't work out, and we're really looking for a teacher." He kept pressing me, So then I was kind of thinking about it, and I said, "Well, I'll give that a thought," and I did. So I just basically, quit my job. I didn't quit. I told him I was going to leave for education. It's funny because now I'm feeding that company some kids there, working employees.
Making your amends.
Yeah. So I gave back, So I decided to become a teacher, and this shop was called Painting and Decorating before me. And it was more of a construction-based trade. They did sheetrock, plastering, painting. And they really needed to change it and make it more technical. And a lot of the shops in here, even think about electrical, electronics, plumbing, even carpentry. They're all thinking about technology now. It's not what it used to be. So they hired me specifically to add technology to the program. In which I did. So we've gotten lasers, we have digital printers, we have laminators, we have all kinds of tools and equipment that we bought. Lots of advancements here, and that really, I wouldn't say it saved the shop, but really turned the shop around and made it different. So we were that shop that was maybe less desirable at the time, and it completely flipped the shop over. And that technology really made a difference here in the school. So that's, I guess, in a nutshell, how it kind of started. And I've met these guys from TechEd and some other companies, and we just keep talking about, what can we add? We have advisory boards that, people come in from different corporations and tell us what we should be buying and doing. I do a lot of externalship work in the summers where I'll go out to companies and work for them and discover what they're doing so I can bring it back here to the shop. So lots of ways I can stay within my industry and try to grow my program here.
Yeah, and Justin, what was it that stuck out about Tom's program that propelled you guys to make him a candidate for the Hero Awards?
Well, when the email came into my inbox that said we're looking for K-12 Hero Awards for schools and programs that are using innovative education technologies, Tom just popped in my head. And as you can hear his excitement, enthusiasm in his program, he displays that in his classroom. He also does so much to support not only his school community, but his local community, and then of course the sign industry overall. And as he mentioned, he's got a lot of cutting edge equipment in there. And his background in the sign industry, I think, was a huge factor in his success in the program. What he brought in from the real world into the classroom has been a huge benefit for the school and the students. He knows so much. He's very talented as well, and he just overflows that to everybody he talks to, and just wants so much to share his enthusiasm for what he does with fellow educators and for his sign industry as well.
Now, Tom, it sounds as if, looking at BVT, obviously you guys are well established. You're an educational institution that is focused on vocational skills. But what sort of advice would you have for any of our listeners or readers who may not be coming from that advanced setup, but are looking to maybe introduce these sort of technologies and these sort of programs into their own school?
A lot of teachers are asking me, and it's not just painting and design programs, it's graphic programs. And each shop or each school has a different type of program that's sort of like a graphics program, maybe like design and visuals or multimedia. And they're all in the printing kind of industry as well. And I would say, take a course like we had provided, and what do I do first? What do I buy? What kind of equipment do I need? Once I get it, what do I do with it? What kind of things can I make with it? And then how do I develop a curriculum that I can give to the students so they can learn from that? And at the very end of it, what do I need to teach my students? At the end of the day, we're trying to get them hired. What do I need to teach them so they can go out to go into the workforce and do those small things and get them hired and employed? So I would say the first thing you really need to do is, like I said, we had that 2-day workshop. It was perfect. You can answer a lot of questions. You can it's not so scary as maybe people think it is. Like, I'm going to buy a $18,000 printer and I don't want to touch it because I don't want to break it, But then when you start kind of using it and realizing, actually, it's not that bad. And you put that in the hands of a 16-year-old, and 2 weeks later, they're teaching you how to use it. It's amazing how quick they develop their skills. I always say, I've been in the industry for a long time, and the old computers, you wouldn't touch buttons if you didn't know what they did because you were afraid what's going to happen, And the kids now, they look at those buttons like, what does that one do? And they just keep pressing it and see what happens. So, and a lot of times we discover more things because of that. So it's like I said, it's not scary. They have warranties. It's fine. Not a big deal.
Right.
But get that equipment in your shop, get that curriculum kind of going, work with your local industries. We have advisory boards, like I had mentioned. People come in and they say, look, I'm looking for a kid that knows how to do X, Y, and Z. Can you teach them how to squeegee and stick some vinyl? Or can you teach them how to print something for me? Or teach them how to use Illustrator, because that's what we use here in our company. So we take all that in, and then we send them out on co-op jobs. They get to work instead of coming here to the school to go to work instead. And they are able to do those simple tasks that nobody, and I can attest, like, nobody is training anybody how to do these things. So I've sent kids to companies and they're like, I can't believe they know how to squeegee something and use my vinyl cutter without me even showing them what to do. Because they said, hey, Miss Lamont, we have that same vinyl cutter here at school. And then I brought them one time to a company called Cadwell Sign, and we have a vinyl cutter. And I went with the student on the interview. They felt nervous, so I went with them. I thought that was nice for them to see that. And they saw the cutter, and they said that. They said, hey, Miss Lamont, they have a vinyl cutter, same exact one we have in their program. And the owner snapped his head around so fast, and they were instantly hired from that,
Yeah.
And they sent me a message. He said, the kid literally sat down and started using Illustrator and our equipment without even being trained. So those are the things that I try to do, is make sure that whatever it is that I am buying or purchasing or teaching is relevant out in our industry. And that's why I want to connect the industry with our schools and so on and so forth. So.
Yeah, I always hear that phrase in education about project-based learning. And I mean, this is real world project-based learning, right?
Yeah, our shop is considered a live shop. So, we have jobs that come in, the kid will be assigned a job. They will actually talk to the customer, figure out what it is they want. They'll design a quote for that job. They'll design a sketch, a preliminary sketch, and then they'll make a real drawing that they would be getting a sign off on. They would produce the job, order the materials themselves. They even know how to go to the different places and find the materials and the sizes they do. They print the job, they laminate the job, and we'll go out and install the job, and then they create the bill at the end, so the customer can pay for it. So they see the entire thing from the start to finish. So we really do kind of treat our school here as like a live shop, right? So we do not just signs, but we do interior design, painting, and signs and graphics. So every day they come in, there'll be a board up there, like here's the jobs that are here for today, just like you would have at work. Here's the schedule. Here's what has to get done. Who can do whatever. Everybody gets to sign something, and we all go and kind of work as a team, just like you would out in the workforce. So it's exactly the same that they would expect to see.
Very cool.
And Kevin, I just wanted to highlight these projects that Tom is talking about that he has his kids doing. We're not talking like a little sign. We're talking about the whole football field sign and RVs, like full-size RVs and full car laminates, and these are industrial sized projects that he's having these kids do. It's amazing the work that he does with these kids.
Yeah, very
That
much
picture
so.
behind him, he did that picture.
Yeah, you can see it in the back.
Yes,
Yeah.
Actually, I
absolutely
didn't do
gorgeous.
that. My students did that, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Incredible. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you face when it comes to either, say, introducing students to it or getting them engaged, or talk a little bit about some of those challenges that you may face?
Well, luckily here at Blackstone Valley, one challenge that I don't have is usually funding for the equipment that we need. So they're really good about grant money, Perkins grants, and we're trying to purchase these things. So I know a lot of schools probably do struggle. It sounds great, like, oh, just buy all this stuff and start working on it. But that's not an option sometimes for people. So for us, that's not a challenge. So I'm really glad that doesn't hold us back. I would say one challenge that I have is you think about the push for kids to go to college. Everybody says you should really go to college. Even here in a VOTech school, a lot of the kids, I would say a good portion of the kids here are going to college. So it's hard for me to feed the industry with kids that want to get out of school and go into the workplace. So it's really, that's the fight that I get back and forth. I always tell kids stories about people that I know. I know somebody, for instance, his name is Stephen Vogt. He works, he owns his sign company now. It's called DGS. He was pumping gas one day. He got a part-time job working as a screen printer, and he worked his way up through managerial positions. And now he's a part owner. It's like a $15 million sign company right now. It's a huge company. He never went to college, and he's very successful in his industry. And I say that over and over, and I can repeat that with a lot of people that I know. I have a lot of people that own their own businesses. But college is always a fight for me back and forth. Like, you should really do this or that. I've had some kids that have gone to school, and they've actually quit school and then ended up calling me looking for a job, and I've gotten them jobs in sign companies. I have one, again, Cadwell. There's two girls out of there. One girl went to college. It wasn't for her. She came back out, asked me for a job. I found one for her at Cadwell, and she's been there for 5 years now. And now she's the graphics manager in that company.
Wow.
And she's doing very, very, very well. She started working in the back, doing some laser work, and she kind of worked her way up and realized that school wasn't for her. And then she's now working full-time in the graphic industry. So,
Justin, you heard Tom commenting about suggestions for our readers and listeners. From your perspective, do you have any insights there on educators, schools, and districts who want to either expand their programs or maybe in some cases even start to create one?
I think looking into like the workshops that we held this summer at Role and Imagination Center, where we invited educators in and they were able to talk to each other and discuss what they might be doing in their programs and how they might be approaching funding. I think that communication, like getting out of the school walls and talking to people like Tom and how they were able to do that makes a big difference for starting that program. And then, of course, we are a reseller of roll-in products, and so we represent New England, and it's a part of our job is to help educate about the different products that are available. come up to the demo room, go to Roland. We'll bring people down there and let them see and touch and feel and see the equipment. And that's usually a good first step. There's lots of grants that are available that can be researched through online. There's awful lot of programs, and that's also another good resource to bounce off of other educators as well.
Great, great. And now, Tom, it seems like your program is obviously just has all systems go right now. But why don't you look into the future a little bit to talk about maybe some of the hopes and some of the wish list you might have in order to keep this on this roll and to maybe even improve? So where are you going?
So here at my school, again, we teach interior design, painting, and science and graphics. And I would like to be able to enhance all three parts of that, I guess, And one thing we're always talking about is space. So we're like really bursting at the seams here at this school. We don't have a garage where we could do I've done some vehicle wraps with the kids, but it's always sometimes a struggle because I have to borrow a different shop or go off site, which is fine. But that would be a hugely, immensely great place to be able to do more work. I would do more of that work if I had that space to do that. And then with our interior design side of it, it's kind of hard to get kids into that field because they're usually looking for kids that are in college, looking for interns, So I would like to find more resources in that side of it. But I do combo a lot of it. If you think about the graphic industry, and especially my past, I came from companies that did stuff for like Dunkin' Donuts and TJ Maxx. So we were always looking at architectural blueprints. We would design the aisle markers. We would design like the meat department where we would have what color lighting would be there, what would be that feel it would go to. Wayfinding, you walk into a store, where's the bathroom? Where's the menswear or hospital? You ever walk into a hospital, you're like, I can't tell where I am. Somebody didn't do a good job with their graphics program there. So we can take interior design, painting, science and graphics, put them all together in one little nut. And that's how we can kind of combine those things. But for me, for the future, again, just staying on top of what industry is doing and what industry is looking for, all three of those industries. And just because you might want to be in the graphic industry doesn't mean you can't be an architect or a painter or a digital print person running a machine or flying across the country installing wallpaper like I did for years for TJ Maxx. So there's lots and lots of different types of jobs within these industries, and I want kids to know that too as well.
Well, it's really, really interesting stuff. I just love getting into the particular part of the world that I really knew nothing about. And just to see how it's flourishing. And again, after coming out of so many stories and talking about the pandemic and learning loss and kids being disengaged, and to hear the work that you're doing and how enthusiastic they sound being involved in that, it's just really good stuff. Once again, congratulations on the award. Thank you for the hard work that you do for kids, and I look forward to your future successes.
Thank you so much.